Developments in the case of the Maryland man mistakenly deported to El Salvador. A judge ruling today that Kilmar Abrego Garcia's case against the Trump administration can proceed. The Maryland district judge said too many unanswered questions remain, including whether the administration fully complied with court orders to facilitate his return after he was deported. So we heard from Abrego Garcia's attorney outside of the Maryland courthouse after that hearing wrapped.
Under the Convention Against Torture, Kilmar Abrego Garcia has the right to not be sent to a country in which he will suffer torture, but also to not be sent to a country that will in turn immediately redeport him to El Salvador, where he will again be imprisoned and seek out and tortured there in the manner that he described in his amended complaint.
Let's get right to CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane. Scott, what came out of today's hearing?
Yeah, we realize this is a long story already. This is a pretty epic saga, but we're not near the final chapter yet. That much was clear on the 3-hour court hearing in Greenbelt, Maryland. Kilmar Abrego Garcia was mistakenly deported from Maryland to El Salvador March 15th. The Department of Justice has acknowledged that, but in court today, as his attorneys in this civil case try to argue to get him returned to Maryland, even if in government custody, the judge was clear she doesn't think the Trump administration is operating in good faith in this case. That the administration had said for so long, for months, they couldn't get him back from El Salvador until they did get him back from El Salvador, brought him to Nashville, Tennessee, where he's facing federal criminal charges. So there'll be another hearing potentially Thursday. There'll be more arguments. Abrego Garcia remains in pretrial detention in Tennessee, but that's just the single case. This has long been and remains a proxy on a different issue. Is the administration vulnerable to deporting more people by mistake? And if so, can they get those people back? That's the concern the judge articulated in court today, and it has remained the concern ever since March.
Scott, I also want to ask you about reporting on the Justice Department probe into the Jeffrey Epstein case. What can you tell us about that?
In a memo issued by the FBI, they argue that there is no substantive evidence that there is a client list of Jeffrey Epstein with very powerful people on it who were part of his crime of engaging in exploitation of children. There's also new videos that have been released that show the jail cell and the area around the jail cell where Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide. It shows the area in the hours before and in the time after Epstein's death. What the FBI and the Trump administration are saying here is these theories, these arguments that there's a big list of powerful people Epstein covered up for, and that there's some nexus between that and his death, are not substantive. They're not verified. They are in the world of conspiracy theories. But this memo and those videos are not going to mute the conspiracy theories. They're just going to fire them up more as distrust continues in the government's handling of this case.
All right, Scott MacFarlane. Scott, thank you.